Okay, cool. Let's get this thing started. I'm still trying to figure out like how to hold this camera, but I like these videos. So I guess before we get into the Quran, I've been reading it, but I want to take some time. I don't want to just boom read it and then give my thoughts. Actually, what I wanted to do today was I wanted to explore what is Islam, what is that thing, what is this religion, what does Islam mean? So apparently, correct me if I'm wrong to the Arabic speakers, but apparently Islam means the submitter to God. So a Muslim then, I have some friends that speak Arabic. So a Muslim then would be the person that submits to God's will. So God's will, if you're looking at my indication and my definition of God, would be the will of the universe, essentially, and the will of the creator of the universe, which would mean that the Quran is describing the objective realities of the universe. And I'm curious if that's true. And also to my Muslim friends, let me know in the comments, please, if that's a correct definition, if that definition makes sense. I wanted to read something about I had this question last night, what is Islam? So I want to read this and let me know what you guys think. So it says, what is Islam? Islam did not start with the Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century. So Islam is not from the Prophet Muhammad. It didn't start with him. And then it says, technically, Islam is the message that was delivered to all prophets of God from Adam to Muhammad. So I'm assuming that includes all the prophets in the Old Testament. I'm curious to if Islam has prophets that are in the Old Testament or not in the Old Testament, like if they have different people that they're talking about, or is it the same people? It's the Ten Commandments. In the Bible, the first 4 of the Ten Commandments enjoin the worship to one God. The rest urge believers to avoid that's what's wrong and right. All prophets and the followers are simply called Muslims. So I'm assuming that all prophets and their followers are Muslims, or I think I'm saying it right, Muslims, because they're following the will of God. Therefore, does that mean that, so what is it, so then, okay, what does it mean then to be a Muslim? Are you a Muslim when you pray? Are you a Muslim when you believe in God and like the day of judgment? Does that mean that Christians are Muslim? How does that add up? Like, okay, yeah, so like they're Christians Muslim, or like what about somebody who was born Muslim but they're not religious? Are they Muslim? Or is the person that is Christian but is more connected to God than the person who's Christian and is more connected to God than the guy who's born Muslim and is not connected to God? Who's more Muslim? Like, who's more submitting to God's will? That's a good question. So I guess, like, what is a Muslim? So another thing it says is, every human being is born with an innate will, which is called a fitra, to submit to God, but parents and society have changed this nature, and in order to relate to the Almighty, many have put a face on God. So I guess this is like the picture of Jesus, which makes sense to me because I don't really understand why, like, like Jesus was European because he's from Jerusalem. Those guys are Middle Eastern, so I don't understand why he looks like an Italian guy. I never really understood that. So maybe I don't want to make any Christians bad, but I'm curious, like, are you sure that's how he looked? Jesus looked? And because I know the Christians think that Jesus is God, if I'm not mistaken. And what else is there? Yeah, so I guess, like, that's why a convert, pertaining to my last video, that's why a convert is considered a revert, because the process is restoring your fitra, so your innate will towards God, and then therefore the Quran is called the reminder because it's reminding you of what's good and evil that you feel inside. Okay, that kind of makes sense, but like, does it make sense that, like, you know when you do something bad and then you feel kind of bad about that? Is that the fitra? Is that what the Muslims are calling the fitra? Like, your consciousness? Like, if you snake somebody, you do something kind of wrong, you know that you did something wrong. If you lie to somebody, if you trick somebody. Like, I have a rule that I like to follow. I try my best to follow it. Is I don't like to lie. I think that lying is actually a bad thing. The reason why I think lying is a bad thing is because you don't know when you're lying to others, but you also don't know when you're lying to yourself. So who are you manipulating? And when you're manipulating, who's really got your tongue? I've been really curious about that for a long time. Like, if you're manipulating people, are you really just manipulating yourself? Anyways, that's a different story. But I guess that's what Islam is. So a Muslim is somebody who submits to God. Let's see. There's more things here. So, okay, Muslims have 5 pillars. The Shahada. So there's one God and Muhammad is the prophet. They pray 5 times a day. They fast and they do zakah. They give money to the poor, and they go on Hajj if they are able to, if they can afford it. Okay. Does that mean that somebody who follows God but doesn't do those rules, are they still a Muslim? How does that work? Please let me know in the comments below, and please, if you guys are interested in this journey, follow me. Let's go on this journey together. I'm reading all the comments. Thank you guys so much for the support. I'm reading all the comments, and I'm interested in what you're thinking about Islam or Christianity or all these belief systems, and really what's the truth. Thanks. Talk soon.